read that statement, I am confident that my resume is the best it can be so I can be effective in my job search. Do you strongly agree with that? Do you think you've got a great resume? Do you strongly disagree with it? Do you have a really problematic resume that you need to fix up? So where does your resume live in this? And the poll is just open now. So I'd like to see what you think in terms of strongly agreeing, somewhat neutral, somewhat disagree, or strongly disagree. And remember that your resume is reflective of the job that you want, and a one-size-fits-all strategy doesn't work. So for it to be effective, it really needs to be geared to what you're wanting, to the kinds of opportunities. You know, let's say you're interested in marketing and you want a marketing opportunity, or engineering and you want a civil engineering or an industrial engineering job. You know, is it suited to that? So how confident are you? Well, here's what you're saying. 37% of you at this stage somewhat agree. Good for you. You're somewhat confident. You feel like you have a reasonable resume. Things are not doing too badly. So good for you. You should feel really confident, right? You go out for a job, you should feel great about that resume. It's like clothes. You know, you got to feel good in them. And I know if people have a bad resume, they often feel kind of naked. A close second and tied right now are 3 and 4. So some people are kind of neutral and some people somewhat disagree. So you're thinking, no, not that confident in my resume. 9% of you at this stage said strongly disagree. So for those of you who are disagreeing either somewhat or strongly, lots of tips that are going to come today in the session. Really focus on some of these things that are going to help you tailor your resume. For those of you, who are neutral or somewhat agree, there's always things to fine-tune and to learn here as well. So that's where we're at. 36% of the people somewhat agreed. Pretty good. Nobody strongly agreed. That's very interesting. Not one person. We got 0% strongly agreed that their resume was great, but I guess they might not have joined this webinar if they felt that way. So here we are. Let's see what we can do to move people up from at least 1 or 2 notches here, from the somewhat disagree to a somewhat agree. That would be a good outcome for today's session. So let's look at 5 steps. Okay, 5 steps to an effective resume. Number 1, researching what the employer wants. The place to start your resume is actually not on your resume at all. It's with the research with the employer's requirements. And I'm not just saying one employer. I'm saying you could look for, let's say, a marketing position. You might look at 5 or 10 different marketing positions and get a profile of preferences for those employers. That's the filter through which you look through. I'm going to expand on each one of these points, but I'm just giving you the high level at first. Number 2, once you know what they want, what are your relevant skills? Okay, so relevant is the key word here, sifting through your experiences to present the relevant skills. Number 3, communicating in a way that ties their needs up with your skills. 4, effective formatting. So I have a number of topics and tips here, but you know what? Formatting isn't the whole story here. Formatting is a part of it, but a well-formatted resume that has poor content is just a waste of time, and it's a waste of effective formatting, to be honest. So that's like down the road. And finally, get feedback. So learning how you can not only present a great resume, but get feedback from other people. So let's dive into this piece by piece, and I want to walk you through it. I'm going to use some examples as well as we go through it. So number 1, if you're going to research an employer's needs, how do you do that? So if there is a posting, for sure that's the obvious place to look, and I'm going to look at a posting together with you in a minute. I actually want to share one that I saw the other day, and I want you to see it through the employer's eyes. So what are they saying they want? Number 2, don't stop there at the posting. Let's look at the company, the organization, whatever it is, and find out what's going on, what makes them unique, what are their values, or what's their mission and vision, what are the products and services, and so on, and what's going on overall. If it's the hospitality industry, what's going on? It's summer, coming up on summer. Hospitality industry in Canada is in full gear because they gotta staff up. So you need to understand the cyclical nature of the industries or what's going on. In Ontario here we had a budget the other day, and that's going to influence certain things. There'll be a federal budget coming out. What's going on that might influence the areas that you're looking at. Where to go? Look at the posting, look online, check out trade magazines. Your contacts are going to know tons of stuff about that, and if you do still have access to a Career Center at your post-secondary institution, go and access that as well. So let's look at a posting together, okay? And this is a real posting. I got this off the internet a couple of days ago for a position called marketing coordinator. And it's in 2 pages here, so I want to walk you through it. I don't mean for you to read all the details here, but you know, job postings have lots of stuff on it. And I'm afraid that many people think that all postings are made the same and that there's no real distinction between one or the other. You know, it's just like whatever, they all are sort of the same, so I should just apply with the same resume. Wrong, wrong. That's a problem there, and it's a recipe for disaster. So let's look at this one. They have an opening statement, a position statement. You often find this on preamble, and they tell you something overall. So I've put in red here words that I thought were key for us to think about so that when we are responding with our resume and cover letter, we've got some of their perspective into what we've said. Coordination and implementation. That's what they want this job to do. Now, often people jump right down to the qualifications, and I don't want to do that. I want to walk you through what they're telling you here, which are the job responsibilities. Really important to understand what they want, because when you're responding, you should respond with something from everywhere in their posting. So they want a marketing coordinator to work with internal and external audiences. Well, gee, have you ever done that? Have you ever been involved in an organization or a company, a summer job, even a club or a group on campus? Maybe you had internal members, external members. They're giving you clues as to what they want. They want you to be involved in social media. Well, you know, have you been involved in social media? Do you know how to work Facebook and Twitter? Have you done things that might be relevant? Then they use this word liaison. Companies seem to love that word, you know, liaison between one part of a company and another part. Have you ever worked in a hotel? Because it turns out that's something that they're interested in. Have you ever been involved in graphic standards like logos and you know, anything else they have that might be graphically a component of their brand? All of this is really valuable for us to look at. Now, page 2, they finally give us the qualifications or the skills, knowledge, and experience, and then they have their laundry list. You may not have all 10 things that they're looking for. You know, if you only have 3 out of 10, don't bother. But if you have 7 out of 10, go ahead and apply. It's worth it. Look at what they want. You know, they're telling you what they prefer. They're not saying that they need it, but it's preferred. The university or college degree. Highly adaptive. I love this little term here. Basically, do you know how to learn stuff quickly? Well, yeah, you probably do, so you need to make a point of that. That's really important for them. Excellent communication and organization skills. So many employers want this. Do you have what it takes to prove that you have that? Professional appearance and demeanor. Not something that you see in every application or every posting. That's something that you could respond with if that's part of who you are. So these are all really important. And I want to bring your attention to this one. I found this to be very interesting. This, to me, is like a little test that the employer is giving you. They want your personal alignment with their company's 5 core values. So you might say, well, what are they? Like, I don't get it. You know, Sherry, here's Sherry. She's telling you who to apply to. Sherry, what do you mean? What are the 5 core values? So what Sherry is doing is she's testing you and seeing if you're going to bother spending the 5 seconds it takes to look at her website. So, you know, I went to her website, and sure enough, what do I get? And you should see the Coast Hotels website here. I'm just sharing my screen with you on it. And if you go to the About Us page, it took me one link. And sure enough, down at the bottom, and I'm thinking that you can see this now because I'm sharing the screen, is the list of Coast Hotels values. At the Coast Hotels, we expect commitment, act with fairness, live with honor, challenge the limits, win together. Don't you think that you would go far in your cover letter by saying something about these values? So it's an obvious thing. It's a no-brainer. I would say 9 out of 10 people that I speak to as clients don't ever bother doing any research at all about the company that they're applying for. And it's ridiculous. And, you know, 9 out of 10 applications get thrown in the recycling bin pretty quickly. So it doesn't take much. You know, 5 seconds is worth your time if you want to get an interview. So there you go. Nice little example. I hope you take something from that. I think it's a really good little tool for us to look at here.